I'm about to tell you something I have never told anyone, not even him. I am Olivia, a 30-year-old single mother of 2, and the owner of a secret that could destroy everything I love. My son is 7. My daughter is 8. They are strong, not because life was kind to them, but because it wasn't. I got divorced when I was 24. He was someone I met in Europe. We had dreams, a small home, a quiet island, a forever, but forever ended fast. He left me for another woman, and just like that, I was alone, with 2 children, and a life I didn't choose. Life became routine. Wake up early, work long hours, come home exhausted, cook, sleep, repeat. My kids never complained. That silence hurt more than anything. Across my house lived a man, Sam, confident, carefree. Every morning around 6:30, I saw him while sitting in my car, and at night, I saw who I thought he really was. Different girls, every second or third night. They came dressed for parties, shimmering mini skirts, bare legs glowing under streetlights, high heels clicking softly on the pavement. Young, confident, the kind of women who turned heads without trying. Sometimes they laughed loudly, sometimes they left quietly, fixing their hair, adjusting their dresses, like the night had already taken something from them. And I would sit in the dark, watching more than I should. Sometimes his curtains weren't fully closed, and through the shadows, I could see movement, close silhouettes, bodies leaning into each other. Nothing clear, but enough to imagine the rest. And I hated that I watched, but I hated even more that I couldn't stop. To me, he wasn't carefree. He was a womanizer, exactly the kind of man I should stay away from. I thought I was right. I wasn't. One morning, I saw him carrying boxes, walking up toward his patio. His foot twisted. He slipped and fell hard. I froze. Then I ran, called for help, stayed with him, went with him to the hospital. Because even strangers shouldn't be alone in pain. At the hospital, he told me he could barely stand, so I helped, just for 10, 15 minutes, to check on him. But those minutes grew. Small talks became longer talks, and slowly, I started seeing him differently, not as someone I judged, but someone I understood. So the next weekend, I did it again. Cooked more meals, this time because I wanted to. Weeks passed. He healed, and one evening, he came to my door with flowers and a bag. Inside it were all the containers I had used, cleaned, carefully packed. "I think these belong to you," he said. "And this," he held out the flowers, "is for everything you did for me." Then he picked up another box. For the kids. He opened it. An Xbox. My kids screamed, jumping, laughing. "Can you help us set it up?" my son asked. "Of course." He sat with them, setting everything up. And within minutes, they were playing. I sat there, watching them, watching him. And for the first time in years, my mind felt quiet, peaceful. We sat together later, talking over tea, then coffee. Nothing important, but it felt easy, natural. When he left, I stood at the door, watching him walk back. And that night, I didn't feel alone. After that, we started talking more, seeing each other more. Nothing planned, just happening. Then one night, I saw him again, drunk, standing in his lawn trying to walk inside. He could barely move. Without thinking, I went to him, held him, helped him inside. And then he held my hand, tighter than before. We didn't speak. We just looked at each other. And then we crossed a line. After that night, everything changed. We couldn't stay away. We found each other every chance we got. In his kitchen, on his couch, in his room, even in my home, in quiet moments. We couldn't keep our hands off each other, like teenagers who had just discovered something new. But for us, it was everything we had been missing. It wasn't just physical, it was intense. We laughed more, stayed longer, talked deeper, and slowly, it stopped feeling casual. It became need. It became longing. I started waiting for him. Days felt empty without him. Nights felt complete only with him. I wasn't living anymore. I was orbiting him. And the scariest part? I didn't want to stop. Then one day, he left for a week, and everything changed. Each night felt heavier. I missed him, his presence, his touch. By the fifth night, it wasn't just missing anymore. It was frustration. It was need. It was anger. And then, the night I expected him back, I saw her. A car pulled up. A woman stepped out. Tall, perfect hourglass figure. She stood under the light, confident, beautiful. She walked straight in, using a key, like she belonged there. I froze, watching. Through the shadows, I saw her inside, moving freely, comfortably, like it wasn't new. Then she changed, carelessly, like she had done it before. My chest tightened. Minutes later, she came out again, now in shorts and a loose t-shirt. She walked into the lawn, sat down casually, scrolling her phone, like she owned the place. And something inside me broke. 5 nights of longing, of waiting, of missing him, turned into rage. I wasn't thinking anymore. I wasn't myself. I picked up the bat and walked. I don't remember my steps, only the anger, the jealousy, the feeling that I had been replaced. I swung and immediately wished I hadn't. Then silence, and I ran. Minutes later, sirens, lights, chaos, and him, Sam, crying. The police came. It is still under investigation. We are trying to understand what happened. Who hit Sam's sister? Who just arrived at his home? I lied. I was asleep. Then I heard Sam say, "Thank God my sister is alive." I heard it. She is alive. Relief came first, then fear, because alive means she remembers. Days later, he took me to the hospital. Come meet her. My heart was racing. She was there, weak but alive. And then she looked at me, just a second longer. Hi, I smiled, but inside, I was collapsing. The visits continued. Each time, fear. Then one day, I remember a smell. My hands went cold, like perfume. I couldn't breathe. Another day. I think I saw someone. Maybe I'm imagining. I smiled, but inside, I was breaking. She started drawing faces. Some of them had no eyes. I stared, wondering if one day she would draw me. One day, she held my perfume, smelled it, paused. I like this. She held it longer than needed. My hands shook. One evening, he said, "Can you help her walk?" We stepped outside, and I froze. It was the same spot. For a moment, I thought she knew. "I feel safe with you," she said. I smiled, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. At night, my kids asked, "Mom, do bad dreams make you cry?" I had no answer. One day, the bat was gone. I don't remember moving it. Or maybe I just don't remember anymore. Then one day, everything changed again. He stood beside her, looked at me. "I don't want to wait anymore. In front of the only family I have, nodded. Tears fell. Not happiness. Guilt. She hugged me. I always wanted a sister. Thank you for loving my careless brother. I held her tightly, because if I let go, I would fall apart. Now, I live a life I should be grateful for, but every day, there's a voice, not asking if I'm happy, but asking, how long before she remembers? Last Tuesday, she looked at me differently, not warm, just quiet, and said nothing. That silence scared me more than anything, because silence doesn't accuse you. It waits for you to confess, because guilt doesn't fade when someone survives. It grows, it waits, it watches, just like I once did. She called me her future sister and smiled at me with the same eyes I tried to destroy. So tell me, would you confess and lose everything, or stay silent and lose yourself instead?